schön. Dann machen wir eigentlich auch gleich weiter. Allerdings muss ich noch ganz kurz einen kleinen Werbeblock einschieben. Und zwar, Martian hat am Samstag eine Ausstellung eröffnet in Luzern. Das wäre zum Beispiel eine Möglichkeit, mal wieder Kunst anzuschauen. Martian released eigentlich heute ein neues Buch. Heb's mal kurz hoch. I Left My Body Behind. Das gibt es natürlich auch heute hier zu kaufen. Und dann noch in eigener Sache, also das heißt eigener Sache, in Sache von Texte zum Nachdenken. Wenn euch das Programm gefällt und ihr Lust habt, uns zu unterstützen, gibt es diese Bad Kissingen-Kappen. Die kann man hier auch kaufen. So, jetzt kurz zu deiner Lesung. Perfekt. I Left My Body Behind von Martian M. Mächler ist ein Buch über Somebody, ein autofiktionaler Text, der sich nuanciert mit dissociativen Zuständen auseinandersetzt, ohne sich einer pathologisierenden und heilen wollenden Sprache zu bedienen. Der narrative Gedichtband begibt sich auf eine Suche nach einem weniger abgeschlossenen Verständnis von Körper und Sprache, einem, das beweglich und veränderbar bleibt. In Englisch verfasst, einer Sprache, die Martian M. Mächler weniger vertraut ist als das Schweizerdeutsche, mit dem Mächler aufgewachsen ist, wird dieser Umstand weiter verfremdet und fragmentiert. Stage is yours.
Danke. For you. Scratching my stomach, laying in front of a summer scenery, a refreshing lake presenting itself right in front of me, some people in the water, half of my body covered by the gigantic shades of a tree. My head belongs to that part of the body, the itch itself not very intense, nor am I thinking that much about it, but fingers moving back and forth. Then an immense release. The tiny, barely itchy hills surrounding my navel are opening and lives shaped as tiny flying insects leaving my body. Not what you would expect when somebody is talking about the sensational feeling of having butterflies in their stomach. Nor is it what I sensed. Thin, fragile, semi-transparent night-active creatures fluttering into the summer breeze. A day comes early. Some body has woken up sooner than expected. And the same body is brewing a coffee after the grinder has woken up the common wall lizards crawling out of the cracks in the stairs that connect the balcony to the patch of grass. To some body's own amazement, somebody adds a tiny bit of sugar into the espresso cup, as if watching some other body digging a spoon into the sweet stuff. It's past time for setting up strict rules when it comes to coffee consumption, apparently. For a while, somebody wanted to be known as a, or even the person who would, without exception, drink their coffee black. Now sipping the gooey liquid, they take a seat on a foldable chair and gaze at the only skyscraper in town, which modestly mirrors its surroundings. Today, a wide range of blues. Somebody is feeling pretty crumbly. The plants demand to be watered. Everything points towards a day off, again. Even though letters piled in a carefully chosen corner of the living room are awaiting to be delivered and eventually read. Messages that were rejected either by the intended recipient or due to the automatic sorting machine being unable to read the watered-down lines of address. tears, rain, whatever wetness made the messages as crinkly as they appear now. Their own landscape. Hilly, folded, crumpled paper waiting to be looked at, again. To be delivered, again. Or waiting to be returned to the sender, again. Some rejected by the sender, again. Words dangling in limbo, in the carefully chosen corner of a living room, growing in company. But some body stares at the clear sky. To their right, a cucumber plant climbs along an improvised trellis. It's supposed to grow round, striped, light and dark green mini fruit. However, even before blooming, 3 ripe mini cucumbers that look like lollipops that have gotten rid of their plastic stick magically appeared amidst the bushy stems of potted beets. Some body gathered the finely striped balls and threw them into a bowl of fresh salad. Turns out later, it wasn't magic at all, as they had fallen from their upstairs neighbor's garden for the duration of 3 whole stories, the fruits of earlier planted seeds. The plant's swift tentacles grab what they can find, embracing a dried up and suffocated sage leaf. The cause of its dryness is more likely due to not having been picked when harvest time had arrived, and paused. The camomiles slipped through too, their heads losing their white fringe of hair. Some body decides to go take a swim in the nearby river, to wet their short two-tone hair and wash off the stench with which this morning they associate a feeling of disappointment. Almost already on their way, some body notices an empty and slightly damaged beer can in their bike's cup holder. A blue sky with a few clouds. A now very crumpled panorama, in front of which 4 people in traditional dress are drinking the same beverage from glasses, toasting to whatever people dressed in their Sunday dresses toast to on a sunny afternoon. Somebody crushes the scene in no time, with the strength of all their fingers, and tosses it into the accessible part of their letterbox. It's in good company. The spit residue now spat out, stickiness in every corner. There's also the key box for which somebody never received the code. But for now, somebody is only trying to escape the stale smell, now set free. Somebody is cycling past people wearing short shorts and long-legged trousers, who show patience as they hear the rush approach. A dark hum radiating from fast tires. Another body on a silver e-bike almost pulls in front of somebody, but abruptly reconsiders. Somebody isn't urged to slow down. Undeterred, they drive past, and taking a sharp turn to the right, they no longer see the more hesitant cyclist in the safety glance cast back. Riding the gravel path, somebody passes people on foot, in strollers or on bicycles, all contributing generously to the cloud of dust that hovers closely over the ground, obscuring the hectic dance of pebbles. They all seem aware that these are summer's extra days, provided for those who so far forgot to appreciate the slightly too sunny summer. In the meantime, a high-pitched squeaking of a pedal behind somebody mixes with music emanating from inflated unicorns, yellow one-palmed islands, and orange boats. A deep voice sings a line that stands out clearly because of its crookedness, despite being soft. At the passage where the air-filled vehicles are gently carried back to the water by their passengers, somebody is forced to a stop by a blue and yellow rubber boat that lacks a distinct soundtrack. Some body finds themselves placing their towel where direct sunlight hits, which is highly unusual for them, as if some body is trying to collect the sun rays, to be taken home in every pore of their body. This is already the second act of the day that they perceive from an outside perspective. The heat beats down on some body, and they can make out a sharp, clear shadow that sticks to them. It is clearly distinct from the trees' flowing shadows, which only nearly intersect some bodies. They cut the blades of grass with the edges of their fingers' shadow before shaping them into wolves, which happily feast on vegetarian food, filling their unreal stomachs. Some body makes them bigger, and some body is making them seem more distant. Some body is pointing their finger at a stand-up paddler that drifts slowly downstream, accompanied not by a dog but by another human. As is to be expected by this sunlit play of doubleness, there's another index finger besides some bodies, a little more obscurely pulling the pathway, lingering in the background to the center stage. Imagine an additional spotlight, and some body would be looking at the whole area in front of them. People walking by, rubber boats floating along, mosquitoes trying to pierce through skin, trees with mud traces leading to their crowns, some of them taken down by the force of the river. The missing dog is long out of sight, just like the paddleboard-shaped stage. Some body is refocusing on the clear-cut outline of their hair and ears. From the left lobe dangles a little plastic charm in the shape of a miniature butt plug. What some body's eyes don't see is their heartbeat, which could easily be described as too fast, as well as the wasp's nest stuck to their abdominal wall. Some body also doesn't see the being with myriad heads and almost as many different body shapes that some body has come to know and befriend. Searching for various lips that want to express themselves differently, they get stuck at the shadow's neck, now appearing enormously long, stretched on the open double page of the book, ready to be read. To wash away the image, some body gets up, and for a slight moment forgets about the companion and the many surfaces over which they extend. Some body meanders along the stairs railing. A cut-off piece of rope floats sinuously. On the last gritted step above water level stands a small group of people, half of which find the water too cold already. We are a coin about to be thrown into a wishing well, with high hopes dropping into moving wetness, with a slow turning motion around ourselves, mingling with reflections of blurred parts, of tree ceilings, their limbs, touching, and distant faces. Swallowed words rearranged, in which we immerse ourselves, finally seen in partial ways, complex and full. The weather forecast was wrong. It's not looking like dry with a slight chance of clouds. A tower of clouds, a nimbus covering the sky, more than full, ready to burst out smells and evaporated hopes and despairs. Spells carried far, already in front of some body. It's some body's call to work. Some body is getting out of the water, everyone else washed away by the overshadowed sun. Some body thinks about how to get to the messages as fast as possible. Some body rides home, with a different hum, still dark and low but less round. Now nobody is patient anymore, because Sunday doesn't feel like itself anymore. The chase seems lost at last, even though the wind was clearly on both our sides. I'm rather humble in dimension, compared to what I see when looking up. The tower has already swallowed me up fully, and thick droplets are hitting my naked eyeballs, and my fingers too, holding the orange rubberized handlebars, directing me over the pool of pebbles, fully exposed. I'm darting home. My eyelids sheltering my eyes in case the droplets smack me even harder and colder. Most of what has just hit me still clings to me. I bring it all inside, stored in a white cotton shirt, black shorts, a colorful bathing suit, and black leather slippers that will never smell the same again. I drop everything as soon as the shiny brown tiles surround me. The bathing suit, its old fabric all bloated, generates the biggest splash. I feel cold. Naked, I wring the textiles in their varying elasticity. With all my strength, I turn them into a gooey screw, and lacking a place to mount, release the winding form back into flatness before heading to take a shower. I regulate the water to a hotter temperature than usual. The water jet darts from the shower head's mouth, hitting my face directly. My eyebrow hairs move into all possible directions. Hot steam fills the room. Everything is a little bit more difficult to read. I collect myself. Most of the rainwater now washed off of me. I sigh in relief and rub the bathtub dry, open the window, see the cloud exit, and reassure myself that it's still raining. I'm still on time. Rain time works curiously. Even though most predictions get close, this one came out of the blue, but seems to be here to stay, offering the perfect conditions for people to receive long-lost messages. It's important that I meet recipients in person. I find that most people tend to be at home or at their workplace when it's pouring, close to a chair or a bed from which to digest what has been stuck in my living room for a while. At least when the really heavy drops are knocking on the window. That's how I find them. So it bugs me when I'm not prepared, because I really believe in dealing with messages, and this summer has been unusually dry, except for a series of free storms that brought hail and wakefulness in the middle of the night. River-like streets with branching tributaries, dramatized by strobe flashes in a blanket of thunder. I'm of course not talking about the envelopes that contain invoices and money-related stuff. An official department is responsible for those. Personally, I feel they could get lost more often, but those types of letters always find their way into letterboxes. I once lost 2 letters. I lost them because I carried them wherever I went, ready to deliver them as soon as the first raindrops would caress my cheeks and give me the go-ahead. One letter got especially wet because I was unprotected, leaving me with what looked like ink drawings of a bubbly body on a felted structure. The second letter was an even bigger tragedy. I accidentally left it at a friend's place when we had dinner. I showed them my new handbag, shaped like a heart, broken into 2 almost similar shades of red that had been sewn back together. A white hem completely encases the heart. The detail I like the most must be felt inside. Something glove-like sewn in. A fluffy fabric into which I can slide my hands at any time, giving me a feeling of being held whenever needed. So, when showcasing my heart to a friend, I unpacked all its contents. The mentioned letter, addressed to Lorelei in an unspecified place in the region of Rheinland-Pfalz. A lipstick, keys, in company of ironic charms, some crumbs, and an umbrella. It all blended in perfectly with everything else already on the shiny dark brown table. The leftovers of the chickpea and kale salad, slices of bread, and their breadcrumbs. The half-empty bottle of wine that my friend probably bought because the label shows a drawing of a very round man that almost fills the available space fully. 3 weirdly colored candles that they made last year on a Tinder date during Christmas time. Unopened envelopes and opened envelopes, with the respective letters shoved back in. Some of them had dates scribbled on them, probably to keep them up to date, sorted from urgent to dates further away. Later, when packing up, I only put the keys back into the heart dangling on my arm, together with a spontaneous mix of fresh and old breadcrumbs. When I eventually noticed that I'd left some things behind, the letter to Lorelei was nowhere to be found. Neither the message nor the umbrella ever found their way back to me, but umbrellas never do. And as I was saying, the messages I deal with usually slip through the logic of deadlines or due dates. I oversee the letters that are full of emotions, letters written to oneself, long monologues as reminders or testimonies that are thought to never be read again, as well as letters written to idols, mythical creatures and lovers that have moved on. The postal service generally disposes of them at some point, so I sneak into their well-guarded waste area every week to save and try to deliver them. It's important to deal with what they contain. I hang the unscrewed clothes up to dry on the foldable balcony chair. I snack on another mini cucumber that had fallen from my neighbor's top floor balcony. I open the doors of the closet, which reaches only as high as the bridge of my nose. I ignore the earthy crumbs resting next to the potted pothos that has grown to touch the floor. I grab a pair of my black sports socks, black high-rise underpants, and a dry set of cotton shirt and a breathable sport shorts, as well as something that shelters me from the rain, a black raincoat with matching waterproof trousers, torn slightly by regular contact with the chainring of my bicycle, and a pair of yellow boots that look like they could glow in the dark. It's become my unofficial uniform, ever since I lost the 33rd umbrella and made the decision to not engage with that item anymore. I grab 3 letters with my left hand and put each of them into their own zip bag. The top one reads, Luke Howard, Where You Watch the Clouds, 1803 LOM. And there's an archival note, a loose page that most likely had lost its corresponding envelope. Signed MMM, no further information on the sender. No mention of date or place. Dear Luke, I recently read about you and the classification system of clouds you had worked on. Did you know that it's still in use today? You don't know me, and we will probably never meet, as we don't share the same time. A part of me hopes that someday we will be able to communicate through letters traveling across time. In case this happens, I would be curious to have an exchange about language with you. If I was free to choose, I would want to talk to the teenage you, after you already started to record rainfall, evaporation, air pressure, wind direction, and temperature twice a day. Please let me know if this feeling is reciprocal. I can already share some of my thoughts and questions which we could discuss. Did you know that being on cloud 9 has become a commonly used metaphor for feeling happy? In my mother tongue, Swiss German, it's common to say, Sie schweben auf der Wolke 7. Literally translated, they are floating on cloud 7. Meaning that those floating on cloud 7 are in love, or that they have a very heavy crush on someone or something, so strong that those affected are lifted from the ground, I presume. I find it interesting that it's not linked to other similar sensations like anxiety and being overwhelmed. The inconsistent numbering of clouds being referred to confuses me. To further complicate the matter, I think that cloud number 9 refers to cumulonimbus, which was reclassified as cloud 10 in the International Cloud Atlas at some point. The fluffy-looking cumulus is now number 9, and stratocumulus is number 7. That was your number 9, am I right? The metaphor, the way it's used in Swiss German, could have been invented by people whose close friends started dating somebody and mostly think about that person, and only that person, practicing to become one body. Unable to reach and see their friends, the abandoned might have found peace in the idea of them hiding above one of the most common layers of clouds. A close friend of mine has been hiding like this lately, but too much about myself. Did you ever fantasize about being on one of the clouds that you observed? If so, which one? To avoid misunderstandings, I would be grateful if you used the name of the cloud instead of the corresponding number. Today it's raining heavily. I imagine you would find it quite pleasant. Looking forward to hearing from you. All the best, MMM. Danke.
Ja, vielen Dank euch Lesenden. Willst du noch was sagen? Okay, du stehst so da. Ich will eigentlich auch nicht viel sagen, außer bitte geht doch an die Bar, trinkt viel und dann können wir nachher alle zusammen singen. Ich glaube so vielleicht in einer halben, dreiviertel Stunde oder Stunde oder sowas ja, gibt es Musik. Also genug Zeit.
Also nur kurz noch was technisch, sorry. Genau, wir bauen einfach kurz um. Also das heißt, wir müssen die Disco-Kugel anstellen und so 2 Tische wegmachen. Und dann wolltest du sagen, wie wir es machen. Also wir machen es einfach so, dass Bene beginnt. Und dann können alle auf ein Zettelchen, das wir noch nicht haben, aber bald haben werden, ihre Wünsche schreiben. Und dann haben wir YouTube und Mikrofone und ein Beamer und violettes Licht oder rotes oder was ihr wollt. So, dann machen wir jetzt kurz Pause. Danke fürs Kommen.